On behalf of everyone whose story could only be written in the greatest nation on earth, I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
Vice President Kamala Harris picked a big night to give a big speech. The whole world was watching, waiting to see who she was, wanting to hear her introduce herself to the country. And she really spent a lot of time going through her personal biography in a way that was very apolitical, and I think a lot of Americans would find quite familiar.
Building that middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. And I'll tell you, this is personal for me. The middle class is where I come from. My mother kept a strict budget. We lived within our means, yet we wanted for little.
One of the biggest things that Kamala Harris had to do in this speech, though, was show that she can address head-on some of the biggest question marks about her and the biggest challenges facing the country. And she did that. She talked about immigration, which is something that Donald Trump has continually hammered her about.
Well, I refuse to play politics with our security, and here is my pledge to you. As president, I will bring back the bipartisan border security bill that he killed, and I will sign it into law.
By saying that she would support a bipartisan bill, it could give independents and Republicans some comfort knowing that she knows this is a big issue and that the status quo is unacceptable. Another one of the biggest question marks facing Harris is how she would handle the crisis in the Middle East. She spoke openly about the need for Israelis to be able to defend themselves, which I'm sure are words that many Israelis wanted to hear, and many Jewish people in America as well, because there's a lot of questions about where she stands on this.
I will always stand up for Israel's right to defend itself, and I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself, because the people of Israel must never again face the horror that a terrorist organization called Hamas caused on October 7.
At the same time, she talked about the suffering in Gaza and the death of many Palestinians there and the hunger crisis, and she said that things needed to change.
The scale of suffering is heartbreaking. President Biden and I are working to end this war such that Israel is secure, the hostages are released, the suffering in Gaza ends, and the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, security, freedom, and self-determination.
She didn't tell them exactly how she would be able to achieve something that President Biden has so far been unable to achieve. But she did acknowledge the strains and she did acknowledge the fears of everyone involved in this crisis. And that might be enough for now to get people to give her more time to figure it out. In her speech, we also heard her talk about patriotism and freedom. And she really emphasized that she loves this country, something that Donald Trump has alleged she does not.
We love to fight for the ideals we cherish and to uphold the awesome responsibility that comes with the greatest privilege on earth, the privilege and pride of being an American.
Over the course of the evening, veterans were brought on stage.
Let me introduce you to some of the many Democrats who understand what service means.
Former Congressman Adam Kinzinger, a veteran, and a Republican came on the stage.
The Republican Party is no longer conservative. It has switched its allegiance from the principles that gave it purpose to a man whose only purpose is himself.
Millions of Americans wonder whether she could kind of take this job on day one and deal with the crisis in Ukraine, deal with the crisis in the Middle East, deal with issues related to China and Venezuela and unexpected challenges that would come up. And what she tried to express and what Democrats tried to express is that she has the bona fides, that Democrats are a party of national security and patriotism.
As Commander-in-Chief, I will ensure America always has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world, and I will fulfill our sacred obligation to care for our troops and their families, and I will always honor and never disparage their service and their sacrifice.
The confetti has fallen, the balloons have dropped. She has her vice presidential pick. We're less than 3 weeks till the first debate, and we're less than 3 months till Election Day. It's going to be a full-on sprint. The polls are very close. It's going to come down to the wire, but it looks like the Harris-Walz ticket is ready for this final phase, and Democrats are very jazzed coming out of Chicago.
Our opponents in this race are out there every day denigrating America, talking about how terrible everything is. Well, my mother had another lesson she used to teach. Never let anyone tell you who you are. You show them who you are.